Lighty. Good?
So I'm an MSNBC contributor now.
Okay. Well, that's the way I got to.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you should
Excellent.
probably say that.
Okay, yeah. So we're here with Rick Tyler. He's an MSNBC contributor. It used to be with the Ted Cruz campaign. So now he's totally neutral and impartial. And so we'd like to get his view on the Trump candidacy and what's happened to the debate as far as, in my own personal view, it's gone into the gutter with exchange of insults and how that's affecting the possibility of discussing the actual public policies, the merits of these public policies.
Well, look, the debate's been disappointing to say the least. I mean, not only is the media not dealing with the issues of substance, Donald Trump has turned the debates into the Jerry Springer show. So the only thing we're missing is flying chairs. So it's a disappointment. But look, the people they'll ultimately be able to look at this and decide for themselves. So we'll see. We've still got a long way to go.
So why didn't the Republican Party create some rules where ad hominem insults or statements or arguments were declared illegal, out of the question, and not permitted?
Well, because we're a free country and people can express the way they want to express themselves, and it's up to the voter to decide whether this is the kind of public discourse they want or whether not. They may want it. That seems to be, in some respect, they do. But I think it stems from the fact that people don't trust the government. They don't trust the politicians from either party who've been running the government, and particularly with the conservatives on the Republican side. They helped elect majorities to the House and then subsequently majority to the Senate, and they got absolutely nothing for it.
They're angry.
Well, they're very angry because, under
and rightfully so, I would say.
Under McConnell and I'd say Boehner, although we don't have Speaker Boehner now, but I think the jury's still out on Speaker Paul Ryan. But we were better off with Pelosi and Reid in charge, and so now they say, well, gee, if we could just get a moderate Republican candidate to occupy the White House, we'll get everything we want. And the voters said they just don't believe it anymore, and so they're ready to send them Donald Trump.
Yeah, what I was asking is the Republican Party controls who they permit to do the debate, which network, under what conditions. Couldn't they have just said one of the conditions is in any decent debate, I'm sure you know because you're a great debater, ad hominem attacks are illegal, are not permitted. If you insult somebody in a debate, you start to call them a liar or lazy or nasty or a dog face or this or that. That's not permitted in a decent debate, and the moderator is supposed to caution the debater who insults the other person and ask him to take it back or else forget it.
Well, the problem is you have the networks in charge, and these kinds of debates have been getting a lot of large ratings, and so
right.
But
the party has a chance to control.
Yeah,
they don't have to give it. They don't have to go to this network. They say this network doesn't accept it. We'll go to a different network.
Well, it's a fair point, and that's how NBC lost one of their debates, is because they felt like it was not very well controlled and not very well done, and there was enough complaints about it that they pulled a debate from the NBC News, and then they went on to give it to CNN. But look, I don't know that any of the networks or anyone could have anticipated the level of ad hominem attacks going into it. I don't think anyone would have presupposed that we were going to have this level of discourse and how it's devolved really into the mud. So,
right. So it should have been illegal from the get-go, and decent debates don't permit exchange of insults because it just degenerates. Insults, ad hominem attacks have nothing to do with the merits of any policy.
Yeah, but look, it's a candidate's responsibility to keep the discourse, at some level. So
you're counting on Trump?
Well, no, and so in some sense, I think it was very unfair for them to take it away from NBC News, which was a CNBC debate. They should give it back to NBC News. The fact is, I work for them now. I felt during the campaign that the NBC News had covered the Cruz campaign more fairly, more broadly than any other news organization.
So tell us about that. So now you're working for MSNBC and you're doing commentary. Have you made any of these points in your various public expositions?
Yeah, oh yeah, I've talked about the debate and I've talked about the level of discourse and that it should be centered around issues and people can decide upon the issues. But every time we talk about the issues and someone brings up someone else's record, it devolves into name calling. Um, so it's it's not good. It's not good for the public discourse.
I thought one of the things that happened was in the Cruz campaign, they weren't able to focus on how he's limited government constitutionalist in the sense of why that policy, that perspective, creates prosperity. In other words, limited government, reducing